are, Saturday morning, getting ready to turn this poolish, as we called it, bread starter into bread. We're gonna dump that in.
That was flaxseed meal?
That's
about
flaxseed meal. Yeah, about maybe a third of a cup.
All right, yeah, we'll have to review the recipe. At this point, it's the 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of water, a half a teaspoon of yeast, and that's sat for 4 days. And then we've got a half a cup of flaxseed. That looks to be like 2 tablespoons, maybe?
Yep.
Yeah, 2 tablespoons
About
of
2,
salt.
yep. And, you know, bread will be very flat tasting if you don't put a decent amount of salt into it.
Oh yeah, you gotta season it.
And funny thing, if you go to Italy, the central part, Tuscany, Tuscans are known for not putting salt into their bread, so it doesn't make very good toast, for example. It requires additional flavoring. So we're just going to start adding flour, and I wish I could give you specific amounts to put in here, but it's really a matter of getting the consistency.
Well,
that
you
we
just
want.
put in about 2 cups.
Yes, I put in probably about 3/4 of a cup of warm water, and again, warm is good because that helps the yeast grow better.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's already activated, but it's gonna, you can see how that little relatively small amount of flaxseed meal gives a nice grainy bit of color and interest to the, it's all about the consistency of the dough, and that's unfortunately something that you have to pick up as you go. So we're just trying to get this, and it's going to be sticky. Again, one of the things that I've learned over the years is a wetter, stickier dough tends to make a better loaf of bread.
And what's better about it? What do you mean a better loaf?
Chewier, crustier, more loft. Yeah, I don't want to put any more in there, so.
All right, so that was almost 4 cups of flour, a quarter cup of flaxseed meal, not flaxseed, flaxseed meal. 3/4 of a cup of water, and 2 tablespoons of salt added to our original 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of water, and a half teaspoon of yeast. So you haven't added any more yeast.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
So that original little half a teaspoon of yeast has expanded.
All right, so you just sort of put the remaining little, I don't know, 1/8 of a cup of flour on the counter to keep things from sticking. And, you know, obviously it'll kind of get incorporated at some point.
Yep, that's gonna get worked in here. So we're just gonna knead this gently for,
So your kneading technique looks like a fold and fold.
yeah, it's a push the palm of your hand, and we're kind of, there's a lot of different people do it differently, but it's just kind of a methodical fold and roll, and we're doing it fairly gently, and again, that has to do with the gluten strands, developing those.
Gotcha. All right, so after you've hit the kneaded part, this is why we didn't do this yesterday, because now at this point, it's gonna have to sit and rise for an hour, 2 hours. Then you punch it down and you knead it a bit and let it rise again. What's the process?
Yep, so over the course of the day, that's gonna rise, and first thing we'll do is we'll get another clean bowl or wash that one out. We'll put just a little bit of oil in the bottom, just enough to coat it so that it doesn't stick. And we'll just leave it in a warm place. Sometimes we, you know, depending on how warm it is in the house, we'll heat the oven up a little bit, just a little bit warm, not hot. We don't want it so hot that it kills the yeast.
Okay, and I'm telling everyone it's like smooth. It's not, you know, it feels kind of like a baby's bottom. It's not sticky, but it's not dry. Okay, all right, great. Oh, and while we're at it, I'll show everybody. Forsythia this morning is looking very regal. It's so pretty. So there's our Forsythia, still looking gorgeous. And Jonathan is gonna get this into a nice bowl. We'll oil it and let it sit covered with stretch tight, right? Cling wrap?
Yeah, depending on how dry it is in the kitchen, how long it's going to sit, we don't want it to lose moisture, and so there you go.
And there's flour on your shirt. Okay. Okay, great. Thanks, hon. We'll check back.
Okay, now you can see that dough has at least doubled, maybe tripled in size, so we're going to knead that a few more times, maybe a half dozen times or so. Put it back in the bowl and let it rise again.
Okay, where are we?
Well, we punched this down once and kneaded it and put it back in, and
Oh, you
as you
did?
recall, it was a pretty small bit of dough, so it's 2 to 3 times what it was earlier. You can see how that flax meal has really added a lot of texture and color to that. So we're
Yeah,
just
it's
gonna
nice. All right, so flour your surface a little bit.
lightly. You only want to use as much flour as
You
you
see
need
how much
to.
that went?
So we're going to give it one last kneading and see how much that's shrinking down.
Yeah, so it's okay that like the top was a little dry and the bottom's all wet because you're just gonna knead it all into itself.
Yeah, if we were making pasta, we wouldn't want to do that because it would give us dried chunks in the texture, but that'll disappear out of the bread.
Oh, okay then.
All right, so we just kind of
All right.
kneaded that up. So I think what we're gonna do is, out of this much dough, maybe we'll make a couple of baguettes. And then maybe we'll just make kind of an oval shaped loaf for the other one. So we're not going to spend a lot of time shaping these in any fancy way other than just kind of rolling them out, so there's kind of a hand movement.
So if you have time, baking bread's not really all that hard. It's kind of what this seems like. You started several days ago, or even just one, overnight, but ideally a couple of 2 or 3 days to get a really good wet batter, almost bread dough batter of 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of water, and a half a teaspoon of yeast. And then
we can use either cornmeal or a little semolina, which is kind of a coarsely ground flour, to lay these out.
so what if you don't have that? Can you?
Or you can use some more flour. Cornmeal works really well.
Cornmeal, yeah. What about like parchment paper?
Or you can use parchment paper, but
Or even salt, maybe? I don't know. Would they absorb the salt?
I would use plain flour before I used it.
Okay. All right. Good morning. It's early and we're up to try the bread. We've got our coffee. We've got some jams laid out. Jonathan does homemade jam. So this is a crab apple with sage, grape from the grapes that we grow here on the vines on the property, and strawberry rhubarb. Also, both of which ingredients we grew on the property, although we did have to supplement a little bit with strawberries from the grocery store. So there it is. Oh, it's like the most gorgeous loaf of bread ever. So tell us, how do you feel about your bread there, honey pie?
Well, I think the proof of the pudding's in the eating, so we should probably cut a slab out of this and drop it in the toaster.
Okay. Wow, that looks beautiful. It's got a nice crust to it. It looks soft inside.
Yeah, it's nice and balanced between firm and soft and fluffy.
Let's see.
So,
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Alrighty, we're gonna toast this up. There they are. Gorgeous pieces of toast. Like a little cute little wooden toast extractor wand. Alrighty, let's go. Jonathan, one for me. Here's the butter. All right, what kind of jam are you getting into this morning?
I think I'm gonna have the apple and sage myself.
Apple and sage. All right, let's see. Slather some on there, huh? So how did this bread come out? What do you think about the look of it? It looks pretty good to me, but you were saying you thought what?
I think, you know, given the fact that we used the Polish and spent the time getting the yeast to rise and culture earlier, it probably should have had larger bubbles in it, but maybe we just didn't let it rise enough.
Well, I don't know why bubbles are so important, but this looks amazing to me. So let's hear you take a big bite, and how's that gonna be? So, it smells amazing.
Yum.
Yeah. How's the flavor?
It's great.
I'm gonna crunch away over here on my own piece. We hope you'll try to make your own bread at home. It was fun. It was not nearly as difficult as you might think it is. Just start your Polish a couple days in advance, let it sit, add some flour and water, knead it in, bake it, right?
Yep.
You can do it too. All right, we'll see you soon. Enjoy your bread. Bye.